Okay, in this video, I'm going to show some of the enemy characters you'll be encountering in the game. So the first is Skeleton Knight. Let me focus. There we go. I've probably showed this before, but I'll also be showing the animations. So I'll show the mesh. And he's got a detachable helmet. I don't think I can take it off now. So in the game, you'll see him with and without the helmet. I'll show that later. The next one is the Red Knight. Again, I'll select him to show the mesh. And now we'll move on to some of the idle animations. So the first one was where he gets bumped by the player, and the other one's just a gag animation where he loses his head and puts it back on. So I play them randomly in the game. And I'll show some more idles. He's just flexing, then just looking around and doing a hey animation. So I play these randomly when the enemy knights are in the stationary position. And both of the knights, the skeleton and this red knight, they share the same skeleton, which I'll show next. Right here. So they both share the same skeleton, so they share the animations. But one thing I decided to do was scale them, because when I loaded the knights in the mobile phone, they just didn't have a good size to them, so I decided to scale them after the fact. And if I show, here's an example. I scaled it by 1.4 and this guy by 1.3. Now the problem comes because they're both sharing the animations, but they have different sizes, and the skeleton also doesn't match anymore. So what I do is I just scale the animations on the fly before they're sent to the GPU, and that's how I get around that. And then I can still use the same animations, and they don't have to have custom animations. So that's just one of the little tricks that I did. Here you can, I think you can take off his, oh, maybe. Yeah, there we go. So that's sometimes how you'll see the character without a helmet. It's just a little bit of variety. Hopefully the players will notice, but if not, well, it's just something I can have in the engine. So next I'll show everything running in the mobile game, and you'll be able to see the actual animations playing in game. So I'll show that in the next part of the video. Alright, before I start, I'll show the text file I used to build up the enemy knight entities. So it's just simple like before. I just have various components that I add to the CGame entity class. For instance, there's a mesh, entity attachments. So for example, that helmet I talked about earlier, and it tells you what joint the helmet's attached to as well as the mesh. And then just the various animations. And as before, these are shared between the Skeleton Knight and the Red Knight. And I can scale them, so I speed them up as I want. And of course, the collision detection, as well as a component just to handle the various states. Right now, there's only, if the idle state, the state when he gets bumped, and then when he celebrates. But the good point is I can add more components and change the properties from outside the C++ code, and the game will just run with the new parameters, so I don't have to modify C++ code once I finalize the components I want to use. And you can mix and match and put in different components, remove them, add them, and it'll just work without having to use the programmer's time to make changes. And here you can see the scale that I was talking about earlier. So I record that, and then I automatically scale up these animations based on the scale of the mesh. And then that way I can share the same animations between different meshes that have different scaling parameters. So next I'll actually show the in-game animations as they're playing on the mobile phone. Alright, here I'm going to show the character bumping into the enemy knight who's appearing on the horizon. This time it's the skeleton. So he's doing his little idles. There he bumps. There he's doing a little bit of a jump. And the head will roll off, but it happens randomly, so I'll do that in the next animation example that I show. But for now, he's just doing the jump. Okay, here we're back with the knight. Does his bump. And there his head falls off, and then he goes and picks it back up and puts it on. And then he just goes back to some idle animations, and he just jumps around. So this would be the end state of your game, or one of the various states. So then either you'd restart or just play a brand new game. So next I'll show the knight without his helmet. Oh, his head fell off again, so that you can see that. And then I'll show the Chaos Knight to show that the animations are being shared. So again, here you can see why I scaled the skeleton so much. I wanted him to have a presence in the world, and so the greater scale gives him that I guess more powerful appearance than before. So next I'll show him without his helmet. Okay, here I'll show the knight without his helmet. So that's just a matter of making the helmet attachment that I showed in the entity file not visible. So there you can see him, he's missing his helmet. So I just did that for a little bit of variety. So sometimes they'll show up with the helmet, other times they won't. And you can make this as complex as you want, so you could change belt buckles or do shoulder pads. For now, I just did the helmet. I thought that was good enough and something that the player might notice. And so for the next part of the video, I'll show the Red Knight, and there you can see him using the same animation sets as the Skeleton Knight. And again, you'll see how my engine supports different scaled animations and the same animation sets. So that'll be the last part of the video. And there he is, he fell, he lost his head again. So that'll be the final part of this video. Thanks. Alright, in this video I show the Red Knight, and as you can see he's playing the animations just like the Skeleton Knight, and they're the same set. So he just goes through the same animations as the Skeleton Knight. There's not much else. I just support, like I said, the dynamic scaling of the animation sets depending on the mesh scale that you've provided in the entity file. So for the final part of the video, I'll just show the other idle animations that are played before you bump into the character. Alright, here you can see some of the other idle animations, like the flexing from the side view. And he'll also do a hey animation like he's calling you over. So these are just some static idles that he does while he's waiting for you to either dodge him, or eventually, in very rare occasions, he'll shoot a projectile at you that you have to dodge. And for the next part of the video, what I'm going to do is I'll show him moving down the track so that he'll be running at you, similar to the trains that you'll have to dodge him while he's moving. So that'll probably be the next video that I show next. So thanks, and until next time, this is the latest progress on the game. Thanks, and bye.